Hey, you guys. Yes, we are here at the No Permission Needed podcast. I'm your host, Brandy J, and I'm so excited. We have so many guests coming on our show this season, and it's going to be a great season. And like I've told you guys before, it's not just going to be, we're going to interview women athletes, women in sports, women who support women in sports, women who are in the operations side. But this is an empowerment, uplifting podcast that shows people we will do everything on our terms. It's what we want to do. It's not what society wants us to do. It's not what they think we should do. All these women that are going to be on this show and men, because I may have some men on the show who support women in sports. It's just about doing things on your terms and needing no permission. And a lot of us, especially women, they want us to ask permission to do things in life, and we're not going to do it. We're just not going to do it. So I'm so excited you guys are here. We have a great guest for you today. Her name is Dee. She's on social media as Dee Loves Sports. She is a social media personality and influencer and a sports podcaster and a sports media personality. And I'm just so excited to have her join us today. We're going to talk about her journey, where she feels like, there needs to be more support in women in sports. And we're just going to bring her on in. So stay tuned. Thank you so much for being on the No Permissions Needed podcast.
Yeah, thanks for
As
having me.
I told everyone, you have been in sports for some time, media personality, podcaster, everything with no permissions needed. This is a podcast that I just got tired of them thinking women need permission to do anything. And I was like, I'm over it. Like, I am tired of this, especially since I've got into sports. So it's just like, okay, no, there should be more women in sports on the field, off the field, in the front office, back office, wherever. So this is our
Everywhere.
space everywhere. So this is our space for everyone to come in and just tell your story. And that's just what it is on why you say, you know what, I don't need permission to be D. I can be great and do what I need to do.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to jump in. So let everyone know, like, how did you get into sports and why?
I've always been a fan. I'm very competitive at nature. I was started in basketball and I developed this gnawing love for football. I don't know how I became such a diehard football fan. I know my dad is the reason why I became a Steelers fan in the beginning, but how it just took a hold of me the way that it did, and I definitely was a victim of what I call fandomnitis, like trash talking. Like, if I look at my people that knew me back then, like, probably don't even believe where I am now in fandom. I'm pretty calm and level-headed now, but uh, that's where I started, but as a child, I always had a passion for, like, the radio, and I wanted to be one of the people on the radio. So
Mhm.
as I got older and when I realized radio didn't pay what I thought it was gonna pay, when COVID hit, I was able to sit down because my job, I work in tech, people don't know that. My job had me all over the world, and
Mhm.
so it hit, all of that shut down, and it
Yeah.
was just me, and I was able to spend more times. I'm used to watching the Steelers play on my iPad in my room in Europe, so I was able to sit still and talk about games before they came on. I was able to talk about them after they came on, and I developed a show called Sports and Coffee, which I trademarked, and, because I was tired of people telling me that you didn't have any background, you didn't have any
Yep.
experience. Started my own show, Sports and Coffee Morning Show. It became one of the hottest morning shows on Twitter Spaces during the pandemic where we're all in the house all the time, and that grew into something big. We One of our biggest shows was, like, HBCU Tuesday, where we would highlight HBCUs, and, that was a big when Dion was at Jackson State, so that was a
Mm.
huge, huge time, but I started that, and then I started heavily on the Steelers. I started the Steelers chat. That evolved into something, and I this was my first year not doing it. That went to me going to the events, the Super Bowl, doing media,
Mm.
doing the Pro Bowl, doing the draft. Those are all the things that it just kinda boiled into doing those things. It started, what, 6 years ago now,
Wow.
and almost 6 years now, and here we are.
That is a great journey. I'm sorry to say you're a Steeler fan. I understand that.
I'm retired
I'm an
from
Eagles
NFL
fan.
fandom.
I'm an Eagles
So,
fan.
yeah, I am a NFL I'm a football fan, I should say I'm a football fan, so I
So
have
I really
hung up my
loved how
jersey.
this is one thing I love for this platform is you did what I did. I'm not going to
Mhm.
ask for a seat at the table. I'm just creating my own space. And I think as women, as Black women in media, we have to do that. To
We do.
create our own space to be heard and to be listened to. How do you
Mhm.
feel like have we made strides or do we still have a long way to go in the world of sports for Black women in media?
Some a little bit of everything, and I don't think it's one way. There are some areas where we definitely need more work, and I think we're making some strides because we don't always have to be a moderator on a panel of men, right? We can be the voice. Right. Like, I have stuff to say too, like, I can add, so there are in some areas where we can improve, but there has definitely
Mhm.
been some improvement, and I think that women taking up space is great, and I support it, but when you're dealing with male-dominated everything, right? I'm talking
Mhm.
about from the people that work in it, the people that play in it, the people that
Yeah.
coach it, there's still going to be some pushback having women around. Especially if you look attractive, because
Yes.
unfortunately, that don't always work in your favor
No, it does not.
in
You get
sports.
which I understand that you get to you're like, "Look, dude, I'm here to work." Like,
I'm just here to work. Yeah,
and
that's
that's
it.
it. So I know with your show, so how did your show just developed? I know you said during COVID and everything else, which COVID does not seem that far long ago to me. I feel
Yeah.
like it just happened. I don't know why I feel that way. I'm not the only
Yeah,
one,
like 2
but
years ago, max. That's it.
it was just yesterday. We were all looking at each other like, what are we gonna do?
Alright.
But when you started your show, what was that drive like? What clicked to you that said, I have to do this?
Again, it was going to these places. At first, I thought like, okay, maybe I wanna venture off and working for the ESPNs or, the Foxes or whatever, and I thought that maybe that was my path, and people
Mhm.
would say, "Oh, I could see you on ESPN," and I was like, "Okay, let me just see." And so as I started going into these rooms and where they're interviewing people and they're giving people opportunity to talk in front of the people that are making decisions, "What's your experience? Do you have any experience?" And, like, they don't care about my tech experience. They wanna know if I have experience talking sports, leading an audience,
Exactly.
like, cultivating experience, producing something. They don't care that I've been working somewhere for almost 20 years, you know?
Yes.
No. What experience do you have in this space? So I was like, "Well, I have to start a show. I have to do something to show that I
Mhm.
can produce something. I can cultivate an audience. I can get people coming in and staying and coming back." And so that was that. It started off with, 5, 10, 20 people. Some days it grew to 300, 400 people in a room at a time listening to the conversation we're having. And, I think that's awesome. And to
Yes.
know that my show has evolved and I'm not as home as much. Mind you, we're home every morning. From 9 to 11, we would do sports and coffee. And we would be, and I'm not as home as much as I was then, but the show still exists. It still goes on every Monday to Friday, and I'm not there most of the time. So it shows you it's created a community of people that have stuck with it over it's 4 or 5 years now?
Wow.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
that's a blessing. And what's next for your show? What do you wanna do next with it? How do you wanna like, evolve?
Sports and coffee, it's unique. We tried on other platforms, and we had a platform that we absolutely loved, and that platform unfortunately went away, so we had to go back to our roots, which was Twitter Spaces. Of course, people have taken over the time slot that we originally had, and,
Yeah.
different things going on now. So our impact is not as large as it was because we were like, again, their original morning show on there. But for sports and coffee, I'm personally venturing out in other ways. Sports and coffee, I feel like it's always going to be the root. And I want it to
Mhm.
be bigger. I just don't have the time to grow it. But me individually, I started a show called The Coach's Corner
Mm.
on my Dee Loves Sports YouTube where I talk to coaches and now that the UFL is about to start up, I'll be doing that like more frequently with Coach Shannon Harris, the head coach of the DC Defenders. So
Mhm.
it's a way to reach out to my audience to see that again, I can cultivate. We have Q&A.
Yes.
We do a live stream, so we have Q&As with the DC Defender fans. So, it's the way to showcase my talents as well as get the fans involved and immersed in what the DC Defenders are doing here because they're not here all the time. They only come here for the home games. So it's
Mhm.
great to just be able to connect the
Correct.
fan and the team all the time. So that's happened. I have a series called The Players Corner where I interview players. The players come on and do that. So those are ways I'm branching out.
Mhm.
I find myself some of my best work is behind the camera, so I'm getting more into the production and photography. So everything is evolving with me and it's not staying the same. I am getting more into creating more short form content for
Yeah.
pages like TikToks. And so I'm messing around with that, trying to keep up with what's going on, what's the new thing, what's the
Yes.
new way people consume it. But I think sports and coffee is going to be that cornerstone. It's just gonna stay what it is. I want it to just stay its natural thing. There were so many days and times I want it to be bigger than life, but I think it's good where it's at. I think sports and coffee is always gonna be my baby, and nobody can own it because it's mine, you know? And, if we decide to yeah, if we decide to do something else with it, then it'll be a family affair because, again, I don't have time to run it every day. So the people that sit and run sports and coffee, shout out to Tink, shout out to Tip, shout out to Reddy, shout out to Jimbra, they keep that thing going. Shout out to Peter, and I love them for it.
And that's a great thing to have like a team that supports you in your vision and you elevating. And I understand, like, for me, it's like for us, it's a two-person, it's two women. And we're like figuring things out. Like, I do my own graphics more. I was like, I got this. I'm not, when you've been
Yeah,
doing it for so long, for me, like 20 years, you're just like, you know what you want and you know what you have, what it looks like.
yeah.
For that kind of like pivots to my next question is like, when if there's a young girl who's like looking watching your show and she wants to get into sports, what would be your advice to her?
Do it and find a way to be consistent. There were so many times where I wanted to do something like what I'm doing, but I always felt like I needed somebody. I was like, I need a co-host. I need somebody to do it with
Yeah.
me. And, there was times where I was like, okay. And then if that person couldn't show up or, they could only be on for 10 minutes, then I was stuck. So then I just started doing it on my own. And I think it ruffled some feathers, like, oh, she don't need me no more. But find a way to do it and find a way to be consistent, whatever that looks like. That's one of my biggest things. Like if consistency is once a week, if consistency is once a day, find the cadence
Mhm.
that matches you and you can keep up with and make that happen.
It's doing it on your own terms. And
Yeah.
that's what it has to be. It's not looking at what everyone else is doing. It's
Mhm.
saying, this is what fits my schedule. This is
Yes.
what's going to keep me sane. So if you got to, I always tell like young girls, if you got to do a show once a week, be consistent. Come
Yeah.
out once a week on a Thursday or a Wednesday, whatever. Just be consistent. My next question is more geared towards the NFL and football.
Yeah.
So you've interviewed a lot of NFL players, coaches, people behind the scenes in a big office, and you've also interviewed women who play tackle football. And I know when lately the NFL's backed flag 100%, but then in back tackle, that
Yeah.
ruffled feathers. So, what
Mhm.
is your take on, and if you could speak to it, if you don't want to understand about the NFL not backing women's tackle football the way they did flag?
Yeah, I don't understand it. I do understand the push for flag as far as the Olympics, but I don't understand why women's tackle football does not get the love and support that men's tackle football. Like, I understand the beast and the machine that is the NFL, but I don't know. I don't have an answer. I'm sure there's a bunch of conspiracy theories around it too, or just the solid truth. But I don't understand it, and I don't agree. I think there is a way to support this, just like because these women are paying to play football, and
Correct.
it's insane to me
It
that
is.
there is not a machine behind it like a UFL, the UFL players aren't making millions of dollars, but you're still paying them to play football. So
Exactly.
that bothers me a lot about it, and I don't agree with people kinda turning their heads and just saying, "Okay, let's just watch the girls play flag and only flag." I get the Olympics thing, but, like, what we doing?
Exactly. Because when I got introduced to the world of women's tackle, for one, I was like, this was probably like, God, years ago. And I was like, I didn't even know it existed. And then that's when I got involved doing like helping with, some of Cali War with marketing and everything. So I was like, who's if people don't know you guys even exist in the cities you play in, then how's the world going to know? So what would be your advice to these organizations, which there's 3 women's tackle football leagues, and I have a thing about that, which for
Yeah.
me, like I've always said, look at every professional sport when it comes to the men, they merged to
Mhm,
become one force. So
mhm.
what do you say to these leagues who there's 3 of them, like, for one, do you feel like they should merge to be one? Or and then my second question is, what can they do to get more eyes on them?
Yeah, I think merging is the best for survivability. And I say that for someone that covers the UFL. You had the USFL, you had the XFL, and for survivability, there has to be some type of merger because your resources have to get split. If someone wants to support
Mhm.
this, they may not have the funds to support the other two, right? So
Yeah.
if you have supporters that can come to the table and collectively, your money can go farther,
Yeah.
in my opinion, if there is some type of merger. Does that create problems? Absolutely. But for sustainability, I do understand merging. Your other question was,
My other question was, what can the women tackle leagues do to get more brand awareness, to get more eyes on
yeah.
them if they don't have the big budgets and if they are just doing, things on their own?
It's hard because the women that I know and follow, it's because of their social media presences
Mhm.
and my connection to them, whether locally. So that is one of the ways, right? You gotta find ways to attract an audience in a matter of 5 to 10 seconds.
Yes.
And that is how you get eyes on things. So I think women need to come up with more clips, more social, like push these clips out there, push these plays out there because it is important. So I feel like we have to spend time socializing the sport. And that's just what it is. Like we can use the tools that are free. Marketing costs money, but posting online don't really cost that much. Posting
Exactly.
feed, sharing, liking, those things cost nothing, just a little bit of your time. So that's the number one way, the least cost effective way to get them out there. And obviously attacking the sponsors, proving this is a value. This sport needs to be supported to the big names, but again, using social media to prove that
Mhm.
point. Like watch these women play. Like they had that I'm not trying to diss it or nothing, the lingerie league, right?
Yeah.
And it was just like, okay, how can we get men to watch? And this is how you can get women. But like, let's get men to watch because these women are really playing ball.
Exactly. Not to see their bodies. Like, let's get past
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
women are we are worth more than our bodies. I really love what you
Absolutely.
said about the social media because that's one thing I tell players, like, you got to push social media. It's free. All you
You
got to
have
do is
to.
post and be consistent. And that's how people go viral. Like you said, these women pay to play. And some of them, a lot of mothers and single parents and things like that, and it's like they pay to play the fee and the travel and all, and you're just like, okay, there should be something done.
Yeah.
So that's why when the NFL came in back flag, I was like, what about tech? And it was just a sad thing to see, but
Even if they got involved for like equipment, like these are
on
just
something.
things to just take the burden off of these organizations, help
Yeah,
them sustain, and survive.
it will be a great thing. So my next question is, I know with the WNBA, they are just players which are underpaid. And that seems to be how this world operates.
When it comes to women, yes.
Underpaid, but we carry a lot. We do a lot. We get things going. How do you feel about that? Do you feel like we will have a WNBA season or we're not if they can't come to the table?
Yeah, I think that this season is going to be delayed. I feel bad for anyone that got a job or left a job to support the W. And I don't mean that to sound funny, but like I feel bad because you don't know when you're going to work. You don't
Yeah.
know if you're going to work at all. And I pray that whatever organization you work for pays you regardless if you're whether you're a reporter, whether you're, managing the team, travel, you're in
Mhm.
charge of travel, whatever it is, like, I hope that you are being supported during these times because it doesn't seem like they're even close to anything. And so when that happens, you hope you get a season, and even if you do get a season, how much of it will you get?
Yeah.
And that makes me sad because all the women are doing is are fighting for what they're worth, and they see their worth. We all see their worth and their value, but the league obviously, hasn't come to the table with a number that shows them that they're being valued. And I hope that they do.
And to me, no one who's playing a professional sport should be struggling to pay bills or
Yeah.
to live.
At the highest level, right? This
Exactly.
isn't, this isn't the G League, and I'm not don't no disrespect to the G League, but this is the W. These are the top echelon of women playing
Exactly.
basketball. There's already not enough spots.
Yeah.
It's already limited spots. And so you're telling me the spots are limited, but you're also telling me I can barely get a livable wage. I was listening to Becky Hammon talk about how she was one of the highest paid on her team, or if not the highest paid on her team, and it was like $70,000. I'm
Mhm.
like, you cannot live in America. And I no disrespect to anybody that, makes that or less. It is very difficult to live in America making $70,000. It's
Depending on where
hard.
you live. I live in
Yeah.
California.
Yeah. Come on.
To me,
It's
it's so
really
unfair.
even I feel like you can live comfortable in some places with 70,000, but
Yes, you can. But
the
if you are a professional athlete and you see the men, and no disrespect to the men, but some of these men are not as talented as
yeah.
the women. A lot of teams are not pulling in the numbers as the women's prefer the NBA teams. And to be honest with you, a lot of people didn't even realize NBA All Star was happening this past weekend in LA. Like the
Yeah.
stadium was not full. So if you can see that if it was the women's all NBA, all star, that stadium would be packed. And
Mhm.
it makes no sense that according to, because I was doing some research, and the NFL makes obviously the most when it comes to their fans. And then the number two is the WNBA, not the NBA, the WNBA. So if they have the most dedicated fans and their fans will pay and come, what's the problem?
Yeah. Yeah, it is, and it is growing, and
Yeah,
that's what you wanna see, right? Like, I feel like basketball may be taking a step NBA, excuse me, NBA may be taking a step back as the loyal fandom, right? And people are shifting to the W, and it is something that I would want to exploit. I
mhm,
want butts and seats. I want like the arena's too small. Let's go. Let's go to the
exactly.
NBA arena. Let's get more butts and seats. Let's get more merch in the building because
Yep,
they're consuming it. They're buying it. I loved Unrivaled in Philly. That was fantastic. I
yes,
was a little disappointed in like I felt like Unrivaled had fizzled to start, but seeing Unrivaled in Philly, okay, I was like, "Yes." First of all, let's start the season somewhere and not in
exactly.
in Miami, but, you know, I was in Miami during Unrivaled at the start, and I didn't know like, I forgot. I forgot it started. I would have tried hard to get there if I had remembered, but I was like, "Wait, it's here. It's down the street." And, like, there's no where are the billboards? See, there was one in
Exactly.
Miami, they told me, but I'm like, "I need to feel like it's that. What's going on?" And, but that Philly, the way they did Philly, chef's kiss.
Philly, I was born and raised in San Diego, but my dad's side is all from Philly. So
Mhm.
people think I'm born and raised in Philly. I'm like, no, I was just raised with the East Coast crazy Philly daddy.
Yeah.
And he instilled so much in me. And, even going to visit family, you can sense the
Mhm.
pride of their
Yeah.
sports teams and them
Yeah.
supporting sports. And I just feel like every city's not like that.
No,
And,
no, but people traveled all over, right? You had a bigger arena in Florida, they're limited to, I don't even think it's 30,000. It's less
mm,
than that. I can't remember the exact number, but it's not a lot of people, and I wanna say it might be under 20 that can come to a game, in South Florida. So you put it in a big NBA arena, you move it up north, you move it to somewhere people can take a train and a bus to,
exactly.
you make it a obtainable thing. Magic can happen. You saw how many stars came out that weren't even playing in Unrivaled. You saw Dawn, you saw
Mhm.
Sabrina, you saw women coming out and
And
celebrating this.
support. And that's what we love to see. And one thing I just want to say, I just want to give you your flowers. You have been so sweet and nice and
Oh,
accepting to
thank you.
me stepping into sports and just supporting and just, and that's one thing I love to see. I come from
Yes,
fashion, beauty, entertainment world, and transitioning into sports, it's like, okay, it's not seeing each other as a threat, it's seeing each other as a collaborative partner, and I feel like that's so much needed in sports for women, especially women of color. So I
for
just wanna
sure.
say thank you so much for always supporting, agreeing to be on our
Oh,
podcast, and I just really enjoyed our conversation today and you just
yeah,
being
thank you.
authentic. And so I don't wanna keep you here because I could talk to you about sports all day, and I know
It's all good.
we got things to do, but where can people find you, your social media handles?
And thank you for having me on. And, I'm here anytime. Sometimes my responses is a little delayed, but it's okay. I got you. I got you. I promise. Because it's a community that we need. Like we need a supportive community because it's so many
Yes.
other things that we have to deal with. And I don't want to have to look at the person that looks just like me and be like, are they with me? I
Exactly.
I don't wanna play those games, not at this age anyway, right? But if you want to follow or be entertained by any of my antics, it is Dee Loves Sports on all platforms. So that's Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and yeah, everywhere. Twitter, Dee Loves Sports.
Well, I just want to thank you so much. I want to thank everyone for listening. Like she said, follow her on social media. I'm always reposting her stuff on JN Marketing. And once this episode drops, it's some gems. You guys need to pay attention. And she is an amazing person. So thank you so much, Dee, for being our guest on the No Permissions Needed podcast. And
Thank
we
you.
will talk to you later and everyone else later. You guys have a good day.
Bye, y'all.